I'm Matt with eTrailer, and today we're talking about the eTrailer Folding Hitch Cargo Carrier on the back of our 2023 Kia Sorento. Now this is going to be a great option for you, especially for the Sorento since we have 3 rows of seating. And if all those rows of seating are taken up, as you can see, we don't have a whole lot of space back here to store any of our luggage, especially if you plan on taking a big trip. So a great alternative is going to be a hitch cargo carrier, especially the one we have today because it is pretty large and it can carry a lot. So let's check it out. So this is going to be able to carry up to 500 pounds, and it's going to be very sturdy, made out of a very strong steel, and we're going to have this black powder coat finish to it. Now, when you are putting things down or tying things off to here, or trying to strap them down, if you have any metal hooks, I'd definitely watch out for that, because when that metal hook is really applying tension to these rungs, then it could scrape off some of that finish, making it more prone to rusting in those areas. But as you can see, we have plenty of space. This is a pretty big duffel bag, and we still have room to maybe fit 3 or 4 more on here. So that's really saying a lot. To really give you an idea of those dimensions for the inside, I'll measure them real quick. So for our width, that's going to be about 60 inches. Our length is going to be about 24 inches. As for the height, that's going to be just a little bit over 5 inches. So if you have any luggage or anything like that you want to put back here, definitely measure that out to see how it's going to fit back here. We can also get a few measurements on how far it's going to stick out. The first measurement I'm going to get is going to be the overall length. That's going to be 40.5 inches. And so if you're in a really tight spot, that's something to think about. If you're in a parking garage or a parking spot, this is going to be really tight for you. As for the ground clearance, that's going to be a little bit under 12 inches. So that's kind of low, especially if you are having this fully loaded up, because that's going to probably drop about 1 inch or 2. So you're going to be more prone to making contact with the ground. But this does sit up a little bit higher than some other options, and that's because we do have this rise in our shank. And something to really think about too is how high you're loading this up with. Now this does have a tilt-away feature. I'll show you real quick, but there's definitely some pros and cons to it. So you have to remove these pins. There are a few of them, but this is pretty big, and it can be kind of difficult to do, because if this is fully loaded with close to 500 pounds and you're trying to tilt that away, that's going to be really difficult to do. But in this position, you'll be able to open up your hatch completely. And then when you have to lift it back up, that can be a little bit tricky too. Now for that, I'd recommend grabbing a friend. And sometimes you do have to wiggle this, so as you can see, that's definitely pretty difficult. But actually in this position, we tested it earlier, and you can open your hatch up to about, if you had this stacked up with 46 inches of gear back here, you'd be able to open up your hatch until that 46 mark. So that's pretty high, so in most cases, you'll still have access to your hatch. And what I really do like about this too is the folding option. That's where I think this really shines. And I'll have to remove that pin once again, and we'll just fold it up. And make sure we put this pin back through the bottom. Again, this powder coat on here is a little bit thick, so you kind of have to just wiggle it around a bit so you can get it through. Make sure you put these safety clips back on. But in this position, you're going to block a fair bit of stuff. So we're going to block a majority of our backup camera. You probably won't be able to use that. And you're going to block your license plate too. A little bit of your taillights are going to be obstructed, but since we have this mesh on the bottom, you'll probably be able to see through that. and your back window won't be obstructed either. Now for how this is going to install, we're going to have our 2-inch shank right here, and that's going to go into your 2-inch hitch receiver. We're then going to have an anti-rattle bolt that goes through and connects to a nut. That bolt has a handle on the other side that you can grab so you can hold it down as you tighten it. I'm not a big fan of that design because it can be a little bit difficult to get around here. The best way I find is just to actually lay on the ground and tighten it that way. And then we're going to have this collar. And this collar is going to make installing this a lot easier if you plan on taking this on and off. But in my opinion, I think this is a great option if you are going on your family trips. You need that extra room for your luggage. But I see this as something that's going to stay on your vehicle a majority of the time, and you're rarely going to be taking it off. Because 2 reasons. One, it is pretty big and it's pretty heavy. So trying to put this to the store somewhere is going to be difficult. And since it has that fold up option, that's going to save you a lot of space. That exact measurement I can get real quick is going to be just about a little bit over 15 inches. So that's not a lot of space on the back of your vehicle. Now, if you do want something that you plan on taking on and off a lot, you don't want a hitch or this cargo carrier living back here full time because you want to use it for other accessories or a trailer, then I'd recommend the Flint & Hole Goods Hitch Aluminum Cargo Carrier because it's going to be very lightweight. They do come in some pretty large sizes too, and they're just a lot easier to store and maneuver. But if you don't mind something living on the back of your vehicle full time, then I think this is a great option for you. But that was just a look at the eTrailer Folding Hitch Cargo Carrier on the back of our 2023 Kia Sorento. Thanks for watching.
Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or a pothole or driving over uneven pavement.